Stuff like this is crazy. And it makes me think that a lot of you guys don't realize Beyonce is a hazel-eyed, light-skinned, curly-haired black woman. I don't think she's the epitome of blackness.
These black men that are running to Han's defense know exactly how colorism works. They heard the dog whistle of infantilized victimization and came running. That's why this conversation isn't about Beyonce anymore.
No, we're not doing that. I'm not giving the biracial girlies with black moms the benefit of the doubt simply because you have a black mom. Girl, you're half white, just like the biracials with white moms. I'm really not understanding how and why we as a society got to this point. Anti-blackness is not exclusive to biracial.
Black doesn't mean monoracial. That's the part y'all don't get. Black does not mean mono.
Come to accept that fact that while we are proud of our blackness, some people will take it away.
I personally believe that if you phenotypically look black, that you are black. And I didn't know Hannah before all of this, but I did go to her page and she phenotypically looks black. Therefore, I consider her a black woman.
No disrespect to this young brother, but are we losing the definition of what phenotypical means? For example, if you see Jackie Chan, you're like, that's an Asian man. You may not know specifically what region he's from, but that's an Asian man. Now, when I seen Han, I thought this was a Jewish woman. You know those Jewish women with the curls? Remember the man with the J-fros? Like, she could easily...
You know who I think got race right?
Who?
Apartheid South Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah, apartheid South Africa.
Yeah.
That's who got it.
My name is Hannah, Han for short, and I actually did not start the conversation about Beyonce creating propaganda or having questionable politics. These are conversations that have been happening for quite some time, and that is part of why I felt so comfortable saying that Beyonce was a propagandist in what I thought was very clearly a tongue-in-cheek manner, but it clearly did not translate that way. I actually don't feel like it's controversial to say that an NFL halftime show streaming on Netflix is propaganda. However, in doing so, I participated in the erasure of Black Texan culture, and for that, I sincerely apologize.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. So I don't know if you guys have heard about, I'm not sure if it was like some type of game or like some type of football game or something, but Beyonce recently performed, and I didn't watch the performance, but I guess people had a problem with her being patriotic and waving the American flag. I do remember the first time this happened when Beyonce got in her black bag, as some would say. People mostly feel like Beyonce was more of a universal artist, and around the time she did Black is King with the Lion King and stuff, she started going like hardcore with Black Power and stuff like that. And people were saying she waited until she became rich enough to be able to do that without getting canceled or being isolated to certain cultures. Because most people do agree that Beyonce was more of a universal artist, and she didn't really have much of a brand, which is what made her so ambiguous to people, not just in her looks, but her music. She was someone that every person could relate to. Now, if you like Beyonce, people feel like maybe you just like older music, or maybe you're a part of the Beehive and you just like her specifically, or you only prefer her last few albums. But there was once upon a time where everybody liked Beyonce. Like, that was something that everybody liked, and a lot of people feel like ever since she started becoming, more pro-Black and stuff, that she kind of isolated herself to certain people, and that's why she's starting all these businesses to get money from the Black community or whatever. So I do remember one of her performances, because I think she was dressed like a Black Panther too. It was something like when she was performing with Bruno Mars, and I remember white people being upset about that because they felt like it was too pro-Black and all this other stuff. And even though Black American history is American history, so I didn't really have a problem with it. But I feel like the tides have turned. And recently with, now I find it really funny because when she was dressed up as a Black Panther, the white people hated it, right? Because, how come Black pride is a thing, but white pride isn't a thing? They were acting oblivious. But now Black people are doing it too. And because she was patriotic and she had her cowboy hat, she had her American flag, she rode it on her horse like she was finna say the British are coming. American. A lot of Black people had a problem with it because when they see that, they automatically think, you're trying to be white, or you're trying to appeal to white people. Again, you want your white audience back. So, and then they were talking about her race. People are officially now saying Beyonce isn't Black. Like, they're saying that now, meaning like they feel like she's just pandering or maybe she's just trying to be white because she got like the blonde hair and stuff, and she did the country album. So a lot of people are like pulling her black card and trying to check her and stuff. So I'm going to show you guys some videos of the things I saw. So sit back and enjoy. So it actually all started with, I believe she's biracial. She's a creator on TikTok. And she basically had a problem with Beyonce being a patriot. And she speaks on black topics. And because she's biracial, and some people consider her white passing, I personally think she's ambiguous. But a lot of people had a problem with it because of her phenotype and basically saying all types of crazy things. So I'm just going to go ahead and let you guys check it out.
These are conversations that are being had in real life that I am just sharing on the internet. And the idea that I only talk about black celebrities, that I only talk about black billionaires, is very demonstrably false. From what I can tell, a lot of y'all's issue with me isn't that I am mixed with a white mom, because so is Barack Obama, and isn't my skin tone, because I saw y'all literally propping up white people who agreed with you. Your issue is with my politics. Your issue is with my ideology. You don't like leftists. That's been made very clear, because y'all think that we're mean and nasty. But let me tell you, it's not leftists who were calling me slurs. It's not leftists who were sending me death threats. It's liberals. Most of you watching this will never experience an internet dogpile, but let me tell you, it is really hard to figure out who is critiquing you in good faith and who's just being an asshole, because most people are just being assholes. I had people telling me that I am the reason that Loving v. Virginia was a mistake and that I suckled on my oppressor, and that's not good faith critique. That's just being an asshole. And this is going to sound harsh, but if you're someone who was engaging in that type of rhetoric and you're in an interracial relationship or seeking out those types of relationships, you need to think long and hard about if you should have mixed children, because people should not be shocked that nationalism and patriotism in all of its forms are something that I'm not into. Like, what about my page made you think that I would be into that? And I do think that is a big part of the problem right now, is leftists and liberals are interacting with each other, and so people are being exposed to ideas that are new and uncomfortable and frightening, and I do understand that. For me and a lot of people on the left, there is too much red in that white and blue for us to want to reclaim the American flag. Like, not for nothing, but that flag has been used to harass black people. That flag has been used to make black people and other people of color too uncomfortable intentionally. I've seen all of the death and the destruction done in the name of that flag, done in the name of this country, and while it doesn't make me ashamed to be an American necessarily, because, you know, the history is complicated, particularly for me as a mixed person, it certainly doesn't make me want to be proud. And if you want to feel pride, go right ahead, but I would urge you to think about how that pride can be weaponized into something harmful. I'm thinking about military recruitment or anti-immigrant sentiment or xenophobia that we're seeing in this Cold War between the US and China, and this Cold War between the US and Russia. And like, if you don't feel like your brand of patriotism or your brand of nationalism aligns with what I'm saying, then this message isn't for you. But I can promise some of the patriotism and some of the nationalism that I've seen in my comment section the past few days, it's harmful. It is, and we're going to need to find a way to address that eventually. I honestly would be really interested in hearing an Indigenous perspective on reclaiming the American flag and reclaiming American pride, because I do think that Indigenous Americans are as much a fabric of this country as anyone else. But honestly, I'm afraid that some of y'all can't respectfully handle that conversation.
If the first person you suckled on was your oppressor because your mother is white, you do not get to spearhead the conversation of Black Southern patriotism. And as a light-skinned girly, the only reason why a lot of people are allowing you to speak over monoracial Black people is because of the color of your skin and the loose texture of your curls. Simple as that.
The worst part is there is no sane way to defend that line. There is no sane way to ever defend that line. That line should have made everyone go like, oh, nah. Kind of like the lady who said once you deport all the immigrants, who's going to be mowing your yard? That's the reaction this lady should have gotten. Well, and also that lady. Yeah, that's the reaction this lady should have gotten for saying that insane shit.
People often ask me why I don't trust light-skinned women, and it's because they are all colorists. It's just like all white people are racist. I have truly never met a light-skinned black woman that was not a colorist or did not say something colorist and spew that rhetoric to me or in a casual conversation. I've heard things of like, oh, I can't stay out in the sun too long, or oh my God. There's even weirder ones. For example, I was friends with this light-skinned girl and she was very, very light, okay? She was a bigger girl and she would always say like, oh my God, I can't wait to have black, ashy babies. Ma'am, why they gotta be ashy? Oh, because they're dark skinned? Okay, girl. Only would date white men, but would sit there and talk about how she wanted black, ashy babies. It's also quite sad because I've also never met a light-skinned woman that propped herself up on colorism and had anybody respect her truly, especially not no man, okay? Be dragging them through the fucking mud. It's just sad to see because light-skinned women have allowed men to infiltrate their brains to thinking that they're better, all while they clearly treat them like garbage. Like, it's very obvious. She's not technically black, but y'all like to think she is. Cardi B gets treated like shit. Sweetie got treated like shit by Quavo. Lotto, we still all know who her man is, but he will never bring her to the forefront. The list goes on and on, okay?
If someone posts on their own page about their experiences being biracial, they are not speaking over monoracial black people. It's their own page. The bottom line is, y'all do not like biracial people. That is all it comes down to. It doesn't matter in what context that we talk about it. It doesn't matter if we have a white mom or a black mom. It doesn't matter what our cultural experiences are. It doesn't matter if we are phenotypically black. It doesn't matter if we have suffered from severe racial trauma. It doesn't matter if we grow up in predominantly white areas or predominantly black areas. Some of y'all genuinely just hate biracial people. And I am fully aware that some biracial people are extremely tone deaf, and that can be based on your upbringing. However, some people's upbringing causes them to be even more aware of their actions and thoughts. But typically, biracial people are shut down and invalidated before they've even been given a chance to speak or talk about their viewpoints. I will always advocate for black people, especially black women and children first. However, do not invalidate my struggles as a black woman, which are very real, just because I have a white parent. How society views me is not my responsibility. I did not choose to look phenotypically black. I do not choose for both black and white people to perceive me as a black woman. If you have beef with other monoracial black people deciding that I am a black woman and treating me as such, you need to take up that issue with them. My identity is my identity, and I base that off of my real life experiences. You don't get to tell me what I am. Many biracial black people do not have the privilege of passing or going through life as anything other than a black person. So you don't get to tell them that they do. It doesn't matter how much we advocate for the black community. Y'all just do not like biracial people, and that is all it comes down to. We did not create the societal standards of colorism and racism and texturism. We are not responsible for that. That is because of white supremacy. That is not because of us. We are responsible for speaking out against it, but we are not responsible for creating it.
So while y'all been arguing about Beyonce for 24 hours, I've been trying to figure out what the fuck did this lady say that was wrong. Because the only thing that I'm seeing is that she's saying that she's like a propagandist or she promotes propaganda concerning being black and like the black experience and things like that. What is the problem? Why are y'all getting mad about critiquing Beyonce? Like, how much money does this lady have? How much of your time have you invested in her life? You talk about her all the time. So what is the I really don't understand why y'all do this like every 2 to 3 weeks, where y'all get up on here and someone says something so normal, just a regular critique, and you guys go crazy. You guys go crazy and you act like it's the end of the world. And for some reason, it's sparked by a black woman. And somehow her being biracial and speaking on Beyonce ended up a conversation about biraciality, which I know damn well y'all don't want to talk about. Because what? And now y'all pretty much just hating on her for being mixed.
Something else I will never understand is how y'all will sit here and not accept biracial black women into the community, but will get confused when we can't accept our white DNA. Oh, why are you mad that we said that your mom's white? It's true. Yeah, it fucking hurts because we have black DNA in us and we know it's not right. That's why it hurts. That's why it sucks when y'all say it. So if you can't even accept us because we have white moms into your community, what makes you think we're gonna accept our white DNA and not get mad that you just told us our mom is white, knowing we have the DNA of black people and the DNA of our oppressors? We're allowed to feel some type of way about that. We're allowed to feel some type of way about it. And if you're acting like we don't, like we're not allowed to, then you're a narcissist. You need a psychological evaluation. Period. You haven't gone through your own traumas.
Why is it that every time we think a person might have a white mom, based off of their behavior, before we know for a fact that they do, it turns out that they do?
Let's just say that you were crossing a bridge and then from under that bridge popped out a biracial and they were like, in order to cross this bridge, you have to answer my riddles. The first question is, which of my parents is white? And you guessed white mom. You would be right 75% of the time. This is based off of some really shitty statistics. Like, I'm only including interracial marriage statistics and not children had out of wedlock. But around 70% of marriages that happen between black and white people, 70% of them are black husband, white wife. So it's not even that like we have a sixth sense about who is black mom, white mom. It's that if you guess white mom, you're most of the time going to be right. It's like if we rolled a dice and they're like, okay, you got to guess which number this is. You get to pick 5 numbers. And if it's one of those 5, you win. You're going to win most of the time. And I want to clarify, this is not an attack on Tory. No hate to Tory. I do not know Tory. This is not meant to be like, I'm just saying, I'm seeing this sentiment a lot where it's like, we always know when it's a white mom biracial. It's because the vast majority of them are. It's an easy bet to make. It's like if somebody asks you to bet on LeBron or me in a game of basketball. Actually, that's a pretty bad metaphor because it's actually a 0% chance of me winning unless I got into like a like Mike situation. But then it's not even a 100% chance of me winning because LeBron, Michael Jordan, 1v1, who's winning? You know what I mean? All of this is to say the I bet you have a white mom comment is not like a 50-50 guess. It is so skewed towards white mom. And before we get into the terrible interracial marriage discourse, I do want to say that most people still date within their race. For the black community, I think it's 95% of black women marry black men, and then 89% of black men marry black women. Because I don't want to start anything, I'm not going to say which community has the largest rate of out of marriage. Anyhow, the point being, guessing white mom, black mom, if you guess white mom most of the time, you're going to be right. It's not like, it's not a read. It's pretty, you're right most of the time.
Black women don't learn infantilized victimization from their black mom. Yes, exactly. Black women don't get to cry and play victim when things don't go their way because the world's not going to care. And a behavior like that is a learned behavior that you learn from your parents. One of the biggest ways that children learn is through watching how their parents interact with the world. White women victimize themselves all the time in order to spin a narrative because the world will come to their rescue. And Hannah Han, she's doing the exact same thing right now. So many creators have come tap dancing on their platforms for her defense. And notice it is a lot of black men that are coming to Han's defense because the situation has everything to do with colorism. Because white men want to stay away from this black conversation with a 10-foot pole. But you know who doesn't want to stay away from this conversation? Black creators who have an unhealthy obsession with white validation, that's who. These black men that are running to Han's defense know exactly how colorism works. They heard the dog whistle of infantilized victimization and came running. That's why this conversation isn't about Beyonce anymore. Because you have one creator opening up her platform to start a dialogue with people that don't agree with her, and you have another one using white supremacist tactics in order to defend herself.
And one day, we do need to talk about the fact that some biracial people were bullied for being biracial. Not even were, like it's still happening actively. I was picked on relentlessly just for being biracial when I was a kid. And you can laugh and hee and, oh my God, that's not true, it's not true. Just because you don't believe it and you think that my experiences aren't valid because I have lighter skin and I have a white parent and I have proximity to whiteness and privilege and yada, yada, yada. Multiple things can be true. I fully recognize that me being bullied for being biracial does not hold the same weight as somebody who is dark-skinned being bullied for being dark-skinned. It's way worse and leads to worse consequences. However, people are and were bullied for being biracial, and you cannot deny that fact. So many of us have experienced it.
People will always disagree about where mixed people belong. And that's okay. A lot of Black biracial people like myself have come to accept that fact that while we are proud of our Blackness, some people will take it away from us depending on what comes out of our mouth, which is sometimes fair enough, okay? What I am sad to see is quarterly monoracial Black people blocking and attacking other monoracial Black people for how they spoke about a biracial person's identity and disagreeing about our identity.
I personally believe that if you phenotypically look Black, that you are Black. And I didn't know Hannah before all of this, but I did go to her page and she phenotypically looks Black. Therefore, I consider her a Black woman.
No disrespect to this young brother, but are we losing the definition of what phenotypical means? For example, if you see Jackie Chan, you're like, that's an Asian man. You may not know specifically what region he's from, but that's an Asian man. Now, when I seen Han, I thought this was a Jewish woman. You know those Jewish women with the curls? Remember the man with the J-fros? Like, she could easily infiltrate the Jewish community. And even with myself, I remember working with this African lady, and she said when she first seen me, she thought I was Latino until I opened my mouth. She knew I was Black. I don't know if she was being offensive, but I didn't take no offense to that. And I remember in the Black community, Black people used to say this about random people, like, oh, that person looked like they may have Black in them, meaning phenotypically that person didn't look Black. When it comes to this man, you will not say, oh, he looked like he got some Black in him. You will be like, this is a Black man. The second question may be like, what group are you from now? Are you Jamaican? Are you Nigerian? Like, what group do you identify with? But you will never question if this was a Black man. While she's out in public, people are not identifying her as Black. She's not a phenotypical nor monoracial Black woman, and that's okay.
They are saying that a white biracial is blacker than a monoracial Black woman with two Black parents. Every day, I understand Uncle Ruckus more and more and more. Oh my God.
It's not enough to say somebody has a white mom anymore. Now you got to say that they suck from the teat of their oppressor, as if they had any choice. You don't even know. Maybe she didn't latch on. Maybe she was on formula. You made a statement that's really shocking and everybody pays attention to it, but it might not be true.
Black doesn't mean monoracial. That's the part y'all don't get. Black does not mean monoracial. Black means that you are a person of known African ancestry. That means that a biracial person can be Black. That means that an Asian person can be Black. That means that a Hispanic person can be Black. Because Black means that you have known African ancestry. It does not mean monoracial. Black doesn't mean monoracial. That's the part y'all don't get. Black does not mean monoracial. Black means that you are a person of known African ancestry. That means that a biracial person can be Black. That means that an Asian person can be Black. That means that a Hispanic person can be Black. Because Black means that you have known African ancestry. It does not mean monoracial. Black doesn't mean monoracial. That's the part y'all don't get. Black does not mean monoracial.
As a master of chaos, simply just enjoying rocks being thrown from both sides. If Davin ate, if we're going to touch and agree that Davin ate, this eats as well. Everyone acted so dense and being like, colored. I think y'all want an American version of coloreds. You know, be suckled from the teat of your oppressor. Bitch, let's just, a colored. Teat suckers are colored. Make me sway. I'm going to make a couple calls. See if we can get the American Tylers going. Gotta call Sabrina first. That's head biracial number one. But I'm also gonna tap in with the Creoles because they already be saying, remember that girl said she not black, she Creole? Let's see if they will allow people to join. They're not that friendly though. I know, because I got some in my family. They are not, you can't just join that club. So we might really have to create something new. We cannot say colored girl magic though. We have to come up with something completely new. I'm feeling fluorescent beige. That, walk with me.
So you guys know on this channel you're allowed to have your own opinions and everything. I just want this space to be more of a, like a safe place for people to open up and talk, because I remember someone explaining this to me one time. I can see a 6 on the floor, but from your perspective is a 9. So 2 things can be right at once. Like, it doesn't always have to, some things just get lost in translation. So that doesn't always mean one person's wrong or one person's right. So that's the whole point of like having these conversations and coming to certain conclusions. So I definitely want to know you guys' opinions in the comments. But for my personal opinion, and by the way, I've made so many different videos on patriotism and being a Black American and being proud of where you're from and waving that flag. And I do remember, I couldn't find the video, but there was another creator, some guy saying something that when Beyonce waves the American flag, it's not white nationalism. Because if you're from the South, you're used to seeing the Confederate flag. Now, me, I'm from the North, so that was like a new perspective for me. But if you're used to seeing the Confederate flag everywhere you go, the American flag means something to you. Now, I know there's like the whole Solani thing and there's a Black American flag, but at the end of the day, and that's beautiful, nothing's wrong with that. But at the end of the day, as an American, the American flag means something to me. Like, we literally pledged allegiance to it every day when I was in school. Like, I'm not about to act like that's not my flag. Like, every other country gets to be proud of their flags. But when Black Americans do it, we hate ourselves. It's like everything we do is self-hate. And I'm starting to think you just hate us, like, at that point. So, I've made lots of different videos on that. And speaking of the diaspora and stuff, I feel like Black Americans cannot accept the fact that they want apartheid. They want, the whole thing with colors. I was so mad at Tyler saying the whole thing about colors, but low key, y'all want that type of separation. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but we got the one drop rule, separate but equal, octoroons and quadroons and mulattoes. Like, we have our own little thing, but I feel like nowadays, people are really ready to draw that line in the sand, and they're starting with Beyonce, which is huge, right? I think we made jokes about Barack Obama and how somebody made a joke saying he sound like the niggas in Afghanistan we trying to get, Barack Obama, that's not Daquan Jones, you know what I mean? So, but now they're doing Beyonce, which I thought they would never do, because the day Black people have to accept the fact that Beyonce isn't Black, or whatever Black means to you. I've also did a video on what is Black and what does it mean to be it, so you can watch that if you want to know what that word Black means. But I do find it very interesting. Another thing that I find interesting is that for the people that are upset about, the whole pro-Black thing, they'll be like, when I talk about like, monoracial women and stuff and like the social justice warriors, these be the same people that want to swirl and make the same biracial people that they hate. Or the same people that say, oh, F all the Black men. Let them get the preferences. Preference to baby mama pipeline. Oh, let them be passport bros and don't want to fix the community, but then be mad. Like, when, you know what I mean? Certain people want to mate with other people to the point to where it's like, how white people back in the day are like royalty, or sometimes even today till hillbillies, they would do selective mating or be inbred to purify their bloodline. It's almost like black people are doing the opposite. Like all the girls want to get with like a racially ambiguous guy, and all the guys just want anyone that's not black. You know what I mean? And the people that are super pro black, like Dr. Umar and stuff, they get made fun of. So I'm not saying I really care either way. I've burnt the cape, so I just let people do them. But I do find it funny. You know what I mean? That you want to be all rah rah and keep blackness when like you're trying to date out too. You're trying to, you know what I mean? I just find it really interesting. Something else that I do find funny is that not all black Americans are necessarily monoracial. And I'm not just saying like mixed people or biracial people. Black American means you're MGM. Like there is no black American that's 100% African. So naturally, we really are MGM. And I've had this argument brought up when it comes to exoticals because people say, well, technically we're all mixed. We all got a little massive from the plantation. Like we all got a little bit of something. We all got a little bit of Indian in us, as black Americans. None of us are just black. Like, you know what I mean? Somewhere down the line there was something but I do find that funny because now that's being used as like an argument to like defend Beyonce, and whether you think she's black or not, that's you. But I do find that funny that like now you can get it. Now you can understand. You can be monoracial, monocultural. Now you get that being Creole is a thing. You can still be Black American and have a different culture from other Black Americans. You can still be look damn near white passing, but because you're Creole, you're black where you're from. You identify as that. Even though somewhere else in the north of America, that might not be how you're perceived. And you want to kick these people in and out of blackness, but now you get it. Now you understand the difference between multi-ethnic and multicultural and monoracial. In fact, I'm even shocked that people even know these words. Because before I got into like Chrissy's channel and Exoticals United's channel, nobody used the term monoracial. Nobody said that. They would say we're all black if we get pulled over by a cop. That's what y'all said. So, again, I just find the conversation hilarious, but I'm glad that people are talking because hopefully that means we can get somewhere. And another thing, everybody's saying Beyonce is a capitalist. Beyonce is a propagandist. She's a billionaire. Well, duh. Isn't that why we liked her in the first place? Because her and Jay were like a power couple. But now they want to, when she does something good, oh, she's the first black woman to do this. Oh, look, black girl magic. But now that like she wants to embrace her American culture or her admixture, you want to pull that card. So I do find it very interesting, and not just when it comes to them pulling her out of blackness, but them deciding that what her patriotism means. Like for example, Rihanna, she's not going to run around in cowboy boots and American flag because she's not American. But at the same time, she's a billionaire, and no one really gives a shit. No one gives a shit that the majority of her money is going to not this country. It's going to her family, which that has nothing to do with Americans. You get what I'm saying? And no one gives a shit about that. That's like hush hush. Even me mentioning that, it's gonna go through one ear and out the other. No one gives a shit. But let Beyonce become a billionaire and wear a cowboy hat, and all of a sudden she's a capitalist and eat the rich and all this other shit. So yeah, I do find it really interesting. I would love to know you guys' opinions, so please leave a comment below. Thank you and have a beautiful day.